Welcome to this guided meditation or exploration, specifically pointed at the symptom of fatigue. Fatigue can be one of the more difficult symptoms to deal with, and I get a lot of questions about fatigue because people find it hard, and it is hard. It's a bit different from some of the other symptoms like brain fog and dizziness or pain, which can be easier to kind of accept and go on with your activity, but when the fatigue hits, it can get really difficult. So I usually always give the advice to, when the fatigue hits, not retract and go to your bed, for example. It was something I would do in the beginning stages, where every time I would get fatigued, I would go back into bed, to a dark room, and lay down and kind of try to rest. And I don't think there's a stage for that, maybe in the beginning, but I don't think that's how you're going to get out of this. You kind of have to trust the body that there's been enough of resting now. You've rested enough. It's now time to get accustomed to normal life again. And it's okay, the body can adapt to that. It's just sending the wrong signals of fatigue after some exertion. So what really helped for me was, when the fatigue would come, is to take some time to take some rest, but I would sit upright and I would kind of meditate or just mindfully watch what is going on in my experience. So I wouldn't try to sleep or lay down. I would just sit down, kind of rest. You can kind of meditate. You can also just sit on a bench and just watch everything happening within, internally and externally, both. You can do it eyes open, eyes closed, but be aware of the mind that's going rampant about this symptom that's in your experience right now, about this fatigue. So we can start by, I'm closing my eyes because I prefer that. We can start by asking yourself, how do I know that I'm feeling fatigue? Where do I feel it? Sometimes it's this whole body fatigue, like soul crushing. Everywhere you just feel drained. But even then you can kind of pinpoint, like, yeah, my legs are feeling quite heavy. My eyelids are heavy. That's kind of, those sensations are the main sensations that are fundamental to me getting the thought that I am having fatigue. So let's try to drop that story of me being fatigued and just go towards those sensations. So just feel for example, the legs or the eyelids. Try to feel them raw. And be aware of any resistance to the feeling. In the beginning there can be so much resistance to feeling these sensations. So much like just a yucky feeling, disgust of getting in touch with the feeling. But just try to also accept that feeling and and then just get closer to the sensation. Try to taste it from a place of acceptance. So you don't have to be too rigid, but just from a place of curiosity and acceptance. Like, what's the sensation if it's just a sensation? Because after a while, we can come to the point where feeling the fatigue, the sensations that make up fatigue, can be very enjoyable. And maybe you recognize this from your life before all of this started, where maybe after a long day of work, you're just tired and fatigued and it just feels so good. But now it's different, I know that. It's different. Because you didn't have a long day of work, and you're scared that you did so little, and now you still have so much fatigue and it's not going away. And what if we drop that story and just feel the fatigue? Heavy legs, heavy eyes, sink into them. It's okay. You can feel it. The sensations are no danger. Give them the space to express how they want. They can move, they can change. You're just watching them. Not trying to control, not trying to manage. Just feeling. During this whole illness process, we can get so hypervigilant on any sensation happening in the body, where normally, before all of this, we would have gotten those sensations, some of those sensations as well, like fatigue, like heavy eyelids, like heavy legs, like brain fog, like a bit of dizziness. It's normal to get some of those symptoms during the day, maybe when you spend too much time behind the computer doing some work. But before, you would just kind of see it as, not make a big deal out of it. It's just normal. I spend too much time behind the computer, now there's some brain fog. Maybe I'll take a break, maybe I'll go for a walk. But there's not much attention going towards it, and during this whole process, that's totally different. Whenever most of us feel something little coming up, oh, there's the fatigue, and then it has such we're catastrophizing it and making it into a big thing, and you're not at blame for this. It's very there are multiple factors that cause this, in my opinion, but you don't have to blame yourself for this. But it is a different situation than, let's say, with a healthy person with a healthy nervous system. But it's interesting to see that we change so much. Our relationship with those sensations changed so much. Where every little headache or brain fog or tiredness can be such a big deal, while other people will just think of it like, oh, I'm a bit tired, well, that's just part of the day, part of life. Going back to that will be part of the recovery. And we can go there by accepting it. Accepting that it's here right now. We don't have to change it. But we also don't have to make a big deal out of it. We don't have to go into the future of thinking what this will mean, how this will limit our ability to handle activity tomorrow or the coming week, or it's just now. Let's just stay here and feel what is here. It's okay. We've been pushing it down all the time, not wanting to feel it. It's just like a little child that wants some attention. We've been so rude to the child. And it's not helping. It's only making it worse. So let's invite it with open arms and finally give it some compassion. You can stay here as long as you want, but what was helpful for me is after you've done this for a while and you kind of accept the fatigue and you feel fine. You may have the sensations of fatigue still, but then to go on with some type of activity that kind of puts you into a flow state. It depends, of course, in which stage you are, but for me, engaging with life after taking such a break, and even if I would still be somewhat fatigued, engaging in, for example, cooking or doing some socializing, something that gets you out of the head and is not too exhausting for you, but will kind of bring you into this healthy nervous system state, is really helpful for me. And then during doing that activity, I won't really notice the fatigue, and if I do, I make space for it. I make sure that I have room for it in my experience, and then usually after a while things go better. It's the nervous system that is regulating your energy levels at this point. It's trying to keep you stuck because there's perceived danger. But when you engage in activities that are healthy and get you into a flow state, there will be signal that it's safe, and there will be an opening of energy towards you. And when you kind of retract yourself and go back into like a dark room and try to rest because you know it's been too much and there's some rumination going on, that's kind of signaling to the nervous system that there's danger, which is reinforcing this fatigue. So try to see at your level, where you're at right now, what kind of activity you can do after this moment of rest. if you find some activity that puts you into this kind of flow state and where you're engaging with life. So good luck, and yeah, I wish you the best.